one of the more passionate baseball voices, Chris Mad Dog Russo, host of Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM Radio, Channel 82, and he hosts High Heat on the MLB Network. Mad Dog joins us on the program. Doggy, good to talk to you. I want to go back to the preseason. I'm listening to you afternoons doing your radio show, and we were looking at the over-under for the San Francisco Giants.
Right.
And I thought it was 73, 74 and a half. How did we get from that to 107 for this team?
Great. Danny, I love you. Great to be on. You know how much I love you on this show. Yeah, no way would you have thought San Francisco would be at this level. They've had a lot of players who have made a contribution. Two stats that are interesting about the Giants. One, they got 17 players who have hit 5 or more home runs. 17 guys that's a contribution. And number two, they got 18 pinch hit home runs, which is an all-time record. So 18 times this year, Kapler put a guy in a pinch hit, and 18 times this year, the guy hit the ball out of the ballpark. I mean, so they have had a lot of resourcefulness. They got everybody's made a contribution. They've had a big year out of the shortstop Crawford. They've had a big year out of the catcher, and they've had a lot of these pitchers: Alex Wood, Gaussman, Logan Webb, who nobody ever heard of. They've had a lot of these guys go out there and have very good years on the mound. And as a result, they set the all-time Giant record with wins in a regular season with 107. And here's the key now in what I think, Dan, and I know Charlie will say the same thing when you have him on a little later, who I think is going to be the series of the ages. Can the Giants' regular season success with a bunch of guys that you and I couldn't pick out of a lineup before the year began, will those guys translate now into a short series? Because usually in a short series, you take the team with the better starter in pitching and the better star, which the Dodgers have. And now the Giants got a bunch of guys, the Wilmer Floreses, Solanos, Duger, guys you never heard of. Are they going to play as well as they did in a short series as they did in 162? And that is the key in this series. If you think they will, you got to like them. If you think they won't, take the Dodgers.
Would you have rather faced the Dodgers or the Cardinals if you're the Giants?
Well, I think that you're going to have to probably go through the Dodgers eventually. And the old argument is, you covered the NBA forever. It's easier to beat Jordan 3 times than to beat Jordan 4 times. So I would say the same thing here. If you had to play the Dodgers, if you're the Giants and you're a fan, beat them 3 times instead of 4 times. Now, I think it's a mistake with baseball, and they should change it. I think it's a negative for the Giants because with the best record, they should not be playing a team with the second best record in the second round of the playoffs in the divisional series. The Giants should be playing the Braves right now, and the Giants should be playing Milwaukee. But because the Dodgers are the wild card team, they look at the wild card status more significantly than they look at the win total. And as a result, the Dodgers are automatically the 4th seed, which I think is unfair to the Giants. I think they should change that. We'll see if they do down the road. But in the big picture, if you had to go through LA, Danny, you'd probably rather have to beat them 3 times instead of 4 times.
And this is what we always look at the end result and then we react. And because it's a big market team in the Dodgers and they had the 1-game wild card, maybe baseball changes this. If I said at the beginning of the year, hey, you guys got a problem with the 1-game playoff? Nobody probably would have a problem. Right. And I mentioned this. If Tampa and Toronto had a 1-game playoff, do you think there's a national outcry?
No.
And the answer is no. It's just because the Dodgers and the Yankees, oh my God, they had to do a 1-game playoff.
Well, listen, the Dodgers also won 106 games, the highest total in the history of the sport for a second-place team, and they are the defending champs. And that's why, Danny, in my eyes, you got to give the Dodgers an incredible amount of credit. They could not lose that game last night.
Yeah.
They had an incredible amount of pressure on them. It's 1-1 in the late innings. That is a game that they had to win. Defending champ, it would have been a disaster, would have ruined their season. So the fact that they won that game showed you, we knew they had gumption anyway, but it reinforced the fact that they got a lot of toughness. And I guarantee you this, on 6th Avenue, a sigh of relief. You think baseball wanted the Cardinals in the divisional round against the Giants? Not a chance. Because as you said, all we would have done is screamed how unfair it would have been for the Dodgers to win 106 games and in 2.5 hours their season's over. As it turns out, it was 4.5 hours, which is another story altogether. But I mean, the fact is, you got the right matchup, And the Dodgers, I think you'd agree, showed a lot of gumption.
Yeah.
This is a very hard series to call. I mean, almost impossible who wins this series with the Giants. I think it's going to go in 5 games, 9th inning 2-2 next Thursday night in San Francisco. Take your pick.
If you're a Yankee fan, how's your morale?
I think if you're a Yankee fan, you're very down on Boone. You're very down on the GM. You're down on the fact that since 2009, you haven't been to a World Series. You hate the fact they lost to the Red Sox. You also hate the fact that Tampa has now owned the Yankees. They won the division. They beat you last year. So this is a bad time now if you're a Yankee fan. You're sick of Joey Gallo. That's the last time you ever want to see him. There's no way you want Gary Sanchez on your team next year. Those are 2 out from that standpoint. You're very annoyed at Cole. You gave him $325 million to win this kind of game that you were supposed to win 2 nights ago, and he laid an egg. Couldn't get more than 6 outs. So if you're a Yankee fan right now, you had to go to the wall last weekend against Tampa. The wall, the 9th inning of Game 3 before you got one on an infield single, for crying out loud. So if you're a Yankee fan right now, you want heads to roll. Cole's head can't roll.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Cashman. I think they're probably being Boone back. Gallo, they have a contract for next year. Gallo's awful. I mean, you would be he's terrible. I can't believe, and I said it at the time when they made that trade. And obviously, we've seen enough of Gary Sanchez last lifetime. So Sanchez, Gallo have to go. We'll see what they do with Cashman, with Al, what he does with him, and then Cashman will decide what to do with Boone. It's not Boone's fault, but he's been there for 4 years and they haven't gotten to a World Series.
Would you rather be a Mets fan or a Yankee fan?
Wow. I guess because Cohen's got more money than you can, he's got a ton of money, and I think he'll go over the luxury tax. Plus, I think now he'll bring in Billy Beane or maybe the kid from Milwaukee if the Brewers allow them to talk to David Stearns as the GM. I guess, and that's a good question. It's not great either way. I guess I say the Mets. I guess.
Do you think baseball is looking at Astros Dodgers like, this is what we need?
Absolutely, Danny.
I don't know if there's another matchup that.
No,
and
absolutely.
Right?
Do you think they want Braves and the White Sox in the World Series? They never admit it. See, the NFL can get away with any World Super Bowl. If they gave you Jaguars and Cardinals, we wouldn't care. The NBA needs the star wins anyway, so you're okay with the NBA. You get the Lakers and you got Giannis. I mean, baseball, they need the market size. And Dodgers in Houston, you'll be into it. I'll be into it. They won't like the scandal nonsense, but that series with all those Hall of Famers will have great juice. I don't know if they're going to get it, but that series would be great. And that's the one you could use. No question about it.
I don't want to paraphrase you. I want to make sure I'm accurate, but it felt like you're not as all in on the Astros cheating scandal.
Yes.
As most, right?
No, that's 100%. Here's what bothers me about the people saying the Astros championship was tarnished. We know cheating is deplorable. Give more the grief. In that series against the Yankees, in which Yankee fans go crazy, did you know the Yankees hit 158 in that series? And they hit 160 with men in scoring position. The Yankees couldn't hit themselves out of a paper bag in that Game 7 or that 7-gamer against the Astros. That's number one. Number two, the Dodgers blew leads and a save in Game 2 and lost Game 7. When you lose 2 games at home in the World Series, which they did, one of which they blew a save in the 9th inning. I mean, really? You went 2-2 at home. The Astros were not cheating on the road. 2-2 at home in the World Series. That takes a little steam in my eyes as a fan. That takes a little steam of saying, the Astros cheated their way to a championship. Well, no. The Dodgers won the first game. They blew a Game 2 save, and then they had Game 7 with Kershaw and Darvish, and they lost 5-1. Can we take it easy? And the Yankees, and I know Cashman says this all the time, well, they make a big deal. The Astros took our championship. Brian, your team hit 150 in a 7-game series. At least acknowledge the fact that you couldn't hit. At least give me that before you sit there and tell me the Astros. But your big question is fun, Dan. Astros, Dodgers in 2 weeks. Whether the commissioner gets into that, the fans will. And you and I both know that.
Will you have A-Rod on your show anytime soon?
No. I can't get A-Rod in anyway. Can I ask somebody a question?
Yeah.
It's the top of the ninth inning.
I know.
It's 6-2 Red Sox. All right. 38,000 at Fenway. They beat the hated Yankees. And A-Rod is breaking down Garrett Cole's 2022 side. I don't know. You got to be serious now. I mean, that's not where we want to go with this. And then in the 99, he said he'd be better in his sophomore year. A-Rod, he's been on the Yankees for a couple of years. Oh, my God. Listen, I know that is part of your family. And, you you got a lot. Listen, you're a Hall of Famer based on that in a lot of ways. That was not a big-time broadcast. We got to be fair. You're a broadcaster.
Well, you know what you have to do, Dog, is you have to put a third person in with A-Rod to protect him. And I think if he's your main guy, that's not what he does well.
He tries too hard.
Yes, well, he's trying to be an analyst instead of just being an analyst. I just had Mike Lowell on. I don't know if you saw what he and Cliff Floyd did last night on the MLB
ESPN
Network.
Too?
No, yeah. MLB Network. They broke down Bogart's throw to home plate to get Aaron.
I didn't see that. That's excellent.
It was spectacular. But it was inside baseball, and it was just wonderful TV. And when you're in that role, you got to give me something. I mean, Tim McCarver is the one who started this, him and Tony Kubek. Like, they were really good at getting you inside, between the lines and not talking this peripheral stuff where you're going, notice what's in front of you. And when A-Rod started talking about Garrett Cole next season, I went, what did I miss? Because I just popped in on him talking about it. I go, did I miss something? And then I realized I didn't. And I just thought, oh my God, somebody's got to tell him.
A-Rod in the middle of the game is telling us about the Yankees can't beat Tampa and they got to spend come on, A-Rod. I don't want to get into major market, mid-market. This is the playoffs. It's the Yankees and the Red Sox. Oh, listen, and it's not and Vizgershon's in a tricky spot. And I love Matty. I hate to even say it. He didn't have a great night either. Let's be honest. Schwarber did not go to the Red Sox from the Cubs. Yeah. He went there from the Nationals.
I know.
I mean, come on. Anyway, who am I?
Look, you're baseball's lifeguard.
That's it in a lot of ways. All right, who do you like in Giants Dodgers? Let me hear your take. Go ahead.
I don't like the Giants. Strike me as like the West Coast version of Tampa.
Good point.
You're not sure who they are, but they play baseball the right way. I'm going to go with the experience with the Dodgers because, you get in these moments where you get tight. Like Bellinger's done nothing all year long. And what did he do last night? Got on base 3 times and, he was there. He earned that walk in the ninth. Like those little things. And then, you have the game-winning home run from somebody who has been the NL CS MVP a couple years ago.
And he was 8 for 70 and by the way, can somebody explain to me how Mike Shildt starts the ninth inning with TJ McFarland, who was released by a team in June because he's worried about Gavin Lux? What? I mean, my goodness. Keep Gallegos in the game. I mean, what are you doing? Oh, my God. And then McFarland, what's he doing? Then he takes him out. When you want him to make sure that Bellinger can't steal second base, have the lefty on the mound. That was not a John McGraw moment or a Whitey Herzog moment in the ninth inning by Shildt. You got to be fair.
Good to talk to you, Dog.
Danny, I love you, baby.
Thank
Keep it going.
All right, buddy. That's Chris Mad Dog Russo. He's got High Heat on MLB Network.